1. Hello and welcome to Series 2 of In Conversation. This is the start of the series where we look through topical issues relevant to higher education, and we'll be looking week on week from now until probably around Results Day, focusing on different themes and topics that can help you as a teacher and advisor help your students. My name's Dr. Karl. I'm the school's relation manager. Today I'm joined by Dr. Katherine Lloyd-Clark, who is our Assistant Director at the University of Exeter, and she's responsible for admissions and recruitment. Hi, Katherine. How are we doing?
Hi, Karl. Really nice to be here again. Hello, everybody.
Fantastic. We're going to go straight into it, Katherine, and I've got my first question for the day, which is looking at the key milestones for the current Year 13s in terms of from now until Results Day. What are those key milestones?
Okay, well, Year 13's having a busy time probably at the moment. I think many of them may right now be in the thick of assessments and the production of evidence for the award of their teacher assessed grades in the summer. So getting through the assessment period is obviously a key milestone for them, and getting those grades off for the teachers. But looking forward in admissions terms, probably the next big date to be aware of would be the UCAS reply by date on the 10th of June. And that's a really important date, really, to make sure that students are aware of and have made their decisions on their firm and their insurance choice by that date. It's also a date when, for universities, we have lots more information about the number of people that have picked us firmly, and we can start making some plans for how we're going to manage numbers across the summer. And then looking forward from that, Karl, it's important to remember that not all students take A-levels or BTECs or those qualifications. So there will be students taking the International Baccalaureate who will get their results in very early July. I believe it's the 5th. And those students will be receiving their results earlier than others. This year, there's the radical departure from a Thursday results day to a Tuesday results day on the 10th of August for A-level and BTEC qualifications. And so 10th of August is going to be a key date. There may be a few Year 13s who are taking a GCSE for one reason or another, and those results will come out on the 12th of August. But the majority probably won't need to worry about GCSE results day. And the only other thing I'd mention for teachers to be aware of amongst all of those dates is helping students keep track of the individual accommodation application deadlines that they may have, because this is one date that is not consistent between different universities, and UCAS doesn't set that date. So it's really important that if students are hoping to apply for accommodation, that they know what date they need to do that by. That's really, really important.
That's great, Katherine. And I guess what you're alluding to there is every university will have different accommodation guarantee dates within their scheduling.
Indeed, they will, yes. I mean, for Exeter, it's the 31st of July, but all universities will be a little bit different, and they handle the accommodation process slightly differently. So it's one area where I know students tend to get a little bit confused because they have to work it out for both their firm and their insurance choice university.
Fantastic. Now, I want to turn slightly back and look at the here and now for the Year 13s. And certainly for a lot of them, they're being expected to make firm and insurance choices at the moment. In most cases, they probably haven't visited campuses. They haven't had the chance because of circumstances over the last 14 months where those opportunities have been restrictive. So what's the best advice that teachers and advisors can provide to their students in terms of making that choice? How do they go about doing that?
Yes, and I really, really feel for this Year 13 because we know from all of the evidence that we have that the experience of visiting a campus is often quite transformational in helping you perhaps not make your choice, but to be certain that it's the right one, or maybe to discover that it's the wrong one. And that sort of instinctive feeling of whether a place is right for you is very hard to come by through the digital resources that are available. So I guess I would stress that it's a good idea if candidates do try and work out whether their most preferred institutions will be running any kind of visit day. Obviously, as the government roadmap unfolds, we're at Exeter, we are planning to be running campus tours from the middle of May, and we are prioritising our offer holders. So other universities may be doing similar things and giving you the opportunity to visit. So teachers and advisors really should stress that as the first thing to see if a visit is possible. If not, then my feeling is that the most significant resources are the ones which enable you to either listen to subject tasters from academic staff or to actually go into a kind of chat room with academic staff or indeed with current students. And many universities do run sessions like that, where it's possible to get a kind of slightly real world experience of what that course might involve and what the experience of students is studying on it. A lot of universities are also improving their virtual tours at the moment. We've put a huge amount of effort and investment into that at Exeter, so that there are really quite detailed institution and subject virtual tours available. And of course, that's the next best thing if it's really not possible to come to campus at all.
That's great. And Katherine, I'd like to explore now university behaviour in the area of offer making. So we know that some universities will promise some students, if they firm them up and place them as their first choice, they may lower some grades. Some universities have at times offered unconditional offers to some students. Why are universities engaged in this type of behaviour, and what is it the universities are doing as a result of that kind of activity?
So universities will consider all their applications really carefully, and I'm very confident that admissions offices around the country do put the interests of applicants first. But I think it's fair to say that many universities have been under some pressure in recent years to fill places. And that really reflects the fact that we've been in a demographic decline when there have been fewer 18-year-olds in the population. And of course, the pandemic has created further instability with numbers. So universities sometimes use those tactics, Karl, as a way of trying to encourage as many people as possible to firm that university. Now, unconditional offers, clearly at Exeter, we don't make those unless somebody has already obtained their qualifications. But other universities may do that if they feel that they've got perhaps other evidence to confirm that somebody is going to be successful on their course. But it's always really important to think very carefully whether that unconditional offer is in the best interests of the young person. Certainly lowering grades, that again is a tactic to encourage as many people as possible to accept that institution. We at Exeter do offer some firm guarantees, as we call them, for some disciplines, and that's really to make more transparent the level at which we would accept somebody usually in the summer, and to make it visible to them earlier in the process that they may well get their place if they obtain slightly lower grades than the typical offer that we've published in our prospectus. So sometimes it's about transparency as well, and being open that there could be flexibility in the summer. So we're making that evidence available at the outset.
That's great. And looking ahead to when results day comes out, and when results do come out, is there a chance? Normally, there is some flexibility around grades, and if students narrowly miss out by a grade, there's some flexibility around that time. Do you envisage that being the same again this year?
Well, I wish I'd got my crystal ball, Karl. Nobody quite knows how the summer's going to work out. Last summer was a real adventure, if I can put it like that. We obviously need to see what happens with teacher assessed grades this year, and whether in fact a significantly higher proportion of people get, for example, A star or A, perhaps some B grades. we have taken account of some of that already in our planning, with a view to being cautious about the number of offers we've made. So we hope that we still will have some room for some flexibility in some subjects, but of course we can't guarantee that until we see the way the summer results land. But it's always been our policy over many years, as it has been for all of the selective universities I've worked at, to retain a little bit of flexibility, so that people who very narrowly miss out, perhaps on their offer requirements, can be accommodated. So, I think there's some hope, but it's very difficult to quantify how much hope at this stage.
Okay, thank you. And my last question for today. For our listeners, for teachers and advisors, what can they do to guide the current Year 13s over the next coming months?
Okay, so I think the key things to think about really are making sure that there's an appropriate rest period after all of the intensity of assessments, but that hopefully there's some kind of structure to the months ahead and to the summer. It's been a really exceptional time, and I know that many Year 13s may have things very different from the academic that they want to get on with, like catching up on driving lessons, taking driving tests, or perhaps getting back to a little bit of part-time work that may have been, circumscribed during the pandemic. And all of those things are really valid and valuable. But I think a balance, particularly in the periods around June, July, of kind of rest and thinking ahead really to the preparation for university or whatever the next step is. There may be some students who haven't quite finished the course for some A levels or other qualifications. And if school is offering the opportunity to go back into the classroom after assessments and fill in some of those gaps, I would encourage teachers to suggest perhaps that universities would really welcome that, because that certainly in particular science disciplines, if somebody's applying for a professional course that has very particular competency or subject requirements, it's really important that those gaps are plugged. For other students, perhaps in the humanities or the social sciences, there's some really valuable reading around that they could be doing in preparation for university. But balance in all things. And so I think a balance of rest and relaxation with a sort of gradually structured sense of how to spend the summer is the way to go.
Some sound advice there, Katherine. Thank you very much. And thank you for listening. That's the end of episode 1 of In Conversation. We're back next week, so please do return and join us. Thank you.